This is Ryan Abraham, Dan Weber, USCFootball.com incident analysis here on Howard Jones Field. And Dan, no injury updates from Ed Orgeron today, but we heard from Josh Shaw and Leonard Williams, and they had some updates on what's going on with their injury situation.
Yeah, I think Josh was a little bit of surprise. He had a little swelling on his left knee, I guess it was, and so he got out here late. He said he made up for it with film work. Said he'd be fine tomorrow. He'll be fine Saturday. With Leonard, it's more a case of aggravating that original. It's a back of his labrum on the right side. And he just said he aggravated a little bit more than he's been playing with it all year. Oregon State game, he came down wrong, and became a little more painful. It's going to be up. It's his call. He said he probably had to need a little procedure after the season, but it'll be his call, and he anticipates playing.
And Ed Orgeron said it was really imperative that Leonard Williams play. He had a PCP shot yesterday in his shoulder, which I thought was interesting. And Ryan Henderson looked like he got some first-team reps when Josh Shaw was out of there, so that was kind of interesting.
I don't know. It's hard to say what we're looking at for that secondary. I mean, they're doing some mixing and matching, and I think they're doing some specialized situations, with the corners. So I'm not sure how to, characterize what's going on there in the secondary. I mean, they don't have a lot of bodies out there now, and I think they're doing some specific things for Stanford that maybe we haven't seen before. Probably won't want to get into those specifics, but it's not surprising that you're seeing some different looks.
Ed Orgeron talked about the Stanford game. It seemed like, he's a one game at a time kind of guy. You hear that cliche, but it seemed like there was a lot of emphasis on this one.
Well, he's the one, that basically said this is a line of scrimmage game, kind of a big man's game. They want to run the ball. We want to stop the run. He's also the defensive line coach. I mean, they're coming right at him. He was asked the question, well, what about the toll that takes, if you've got, your tailback running the ball 45 times the way, Gaffney did against Oregon. He said, will that take a toll on you? And he said, well, it depends on who's taking the toll and who's giving it out. He said, so maybe, you got to look at it that way. I think that is, a lot of fans maybe aren't looking at it that way, but I think, and as Hayes Pillard said, we asked him about what do you think about when a guy runs the ball 45 times. He said, that's a linebacker's dream. He said, you can get 44 tackles. So I think there are ways in which this team's looking at it that maybe the general kind of sports public is not.
He did mention that he said whoever's going to win the war up front, that's who's going to win the game.
Well, I think basically if they take Stanford out of doing what Stanford has to do, it's hard for Stanford to win the game. I don't know that kind of is necessarily impacts USC the same way. I mean, there are some skilled players that maybe can do some things that maybe, in numbers that Stanford might not have. I don't know. I think Stanford pretty much has to play. They have to inflict their will on you. I think USC now, I think that we're seeing, some of the punt return things and all that they're realizing that they can do. There might be more ways USC has to get the ball in the end zone.
And one last thing, I know you got to talk to Andre Haddar at the end. Maybe whatever he had to say or some of the other defensive players you talked to, what the interesting stuff that was going on.
Well, I think Andre said, he said it didn't really matter that much at Cal. He said it was one of those days, he said, where missed the extra point, for example, went out to kick off, and he said, he told these guys he was getting ready to kick off, he said, I missed that. He said, you did? And it was like, yeah, that was kind of the reaction in the press box. We were all there like, did he miss that extra point? And he said, I'll be paying, he said, I'll be focusing. He said, obviously kickers have to have short memories. And I said, we're not going to let you, are we? Because we're always going to ask you about everything that goes wrong. And he said, I'll be there. He said, I remember, the Coliseum 3 years ago, Stanford, and what it was like. And he was going to be the guy, if the game goes long enough, he gets to kick that 50-yard field goal, and never got to kick it. And he said, so I remember that, and this time maybe I get to do it.
We'll see if he can redeem himself this weekend. Saturday, USC plays Stanford at the Coliseum. We're going to wrap it up here from Howard Jones Field. For Dan Weber, this is Ryan Abraham. Check out USCFootball.com for more.